Pew, 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 pew. Oh, hey guys. Welcome back to Not Safe for Work Nerd. As you can tell, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, and honestly, I'm kind of scared to do it. But here we go. The divisiveness of Star Wars ever since, I don't know, I guess forever, since the prequels, really, and more recently, The Last Jedi has really split the fandom apart, and I think there's a lot of toxic nature going around, and this video is either going to get all up votes or all down votes, and I'm just prepared for either of them. So I'm just going to give you my honest reaction, and hopefully I don't get destroyed for it. Really, my first initial reaction in the theater was happiness, just pure joy. I was sitting there smiling the whole time, really enjoying having Star Wars again. You know, somebody, and man, I wish I could credit them, said to me, Star Wars is like pizza. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you're always having pizza. And I like that. I think that's a pretty good way to describe how I feel about The Rise of Skywalker. It's not the best pizza I've ever had. It's definitely not the worst pizza I've ever had. So I'm just happy to be sitting in the theater enjoying pizza Star Wars. So with that said, let's just jump in a little bit, shall we? I was honestly surprised at how quickly they started this movie. From all of the trailers of Kylo Ren with the Wayfinder going to find the Emperor, I thought that was like third act shit. And this is happening right off the bat. So, I mean, they're throwing you in the deep end of excitement. In my eyes, I thought the opening fight scenes of him just wrecking face to get that Wayfinder were visually beautiful, super awesome. He's using the Force, lightsaber fights. What more could you ask for? And from then on out, this movie really felt like classic Star Wars to me. Going on adventures to new planets to find things and friends that you need to win the day. It's cool seeing the trio back. Poe, Finn, and Rey back together. It's really awesome to see Rey using new Force abilities that nobody knew she had. The chemistry between them is amazing. The acting, if anything, in this movie is great. Not only do we see Rey doing new things, the Millennium Falcon can hyperspace skip. Didn't know that was a thing, but it's pretty fucking cool if I do say so myself. We get to see Rey training with Leia, Rip Carrie Fisher. I thought the way that they handled her death and the footage that they had of her was very respectful, and I thought it played pretty well in the movie, surprisingly, considering that they only, used footage that they had of her from other movies. And somebody told me that this movie, I mean, someone didn't have to tell me this, I was there, that it's all fan service. People were complaining it's fan service. Well, I'm a fan, and I felt serviced. A lot of it worked for me. Seeing Lando again, seeing Luke again, the whole Chewie dying thing, and then he's not really dead. Got the comic book death problem going on, but I was very upset when Chewie died, so I'm not mad that he wasn't actually dead. Luke grabbing the lightsaber out of the fire, she throws it, worked for me completely. Seeing Luke bring the X-Wing out of the water, all the Empire Strikes Back, worked for me very well. All of the lightsaber fights worked for me. The lightsaber fight outside of the Death Star between Kylo and Rey is absolutely beautiful. I don't want to say that it rivals Revenge of the Sith, but it's pretty fucking close. They're doing backflips through they're force jumping. I don't think we've seen that before since the prequels. Super cool. And then the moment where Leia reaches out to Kylo and distracts him so Rey can get in that kill hit worked for me. Then it gets a little, she force saves him. She force heals him. Kind of lost me a little bit there. I sort of feel like I'm rambling on the subject, but all of this fan service I don't see as a bad thing. There were things that were a little cheesy, like Chewie getting his medal, the Emperor reusing lines from prequels, things like that. But I think overall, the fan service was a good thing. No movie's going to be perfect, obviously. Oh God, especially not in the Star Wars universe. And I think that this trilogy specifically suffered from a lack of direction. They didn't have this shit planned out when they started making it. JJ, then Ryan, then back to JJ. It's like they were playing tug of war. Like, no, the trilogy is going to go this way. No, the trilogy is going to go this way. And it did really feel like JJ was fitting 2 movies into The Rise of Skywalker, which I don't want to say that he was trying to erase The Last Jedi, but he definitely wasn't acknowledging it. They Jar Jar'd Rose, stuck her in the background. Really nothing that they talked about in The Last Jedi has any weight in The Rise of Skywalker. I guess the Reylo relationship is the strongest thing to come out of The Last Jedi. And boy, does that work. One of the things that I do enjoy the most is the transfer of objects through the Force. Force Skype, I believe the fans and I have been calling it since The Last Jedi. That, I think, was one of the strongest moments of the movie for me, is those little hints, like the beads that get transferred through Force Skype and Kylo knows what planet she's on, or when he's trying to find her and they smash the Vader helmet and he's like, oh fuck, she's in my room, my porn, and he has to go, he knows where she's at because of that. And then of course the end when she transfers him the lightsaber, pretty cool new Force power, I think. I've heard people complain about it, but if you're just that powerful of a Force user, why not, and then of course the obvious of why she's so powerful. I know people were complaining in Force Awakens, oh, she's mastered the Force too easily, she's too powerful, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? We know why now. She's a fucking Palpatine. Again, I think everybody saw that coming from the beginning. I don't know if it was just they got the idea from Reddit after The Last Jedi, or, people have been assuming it since, not assuming, it was one of the theories since The Force Awakens even. So I don't know if that was fan service or if they had that kind of plan. But I think it works for me. It makes sense to why she's so powerful. I know people are complaining it really erases the "you're a nobody" from The Last Jedi, but I think they play it off well. Just because your parents were nobodies didn't mean I wasn't a nobody, says Palpatine. Oh, can we talk about that? Palpatine fucks. Yeah, the Emperor had some sex, but I'm wondering if it's when he looked like this or when he looked like that. God, I hope it's that. Anywho, that's why she's so powerful, and we see it a lot in this movie. She uses the Force to try to stop Chewie's prison ship from going into space, and I think if Kylo hadn't been there to kind of play tug-of-war with her, she would have won, and that's, I think, a serious strength and force to be able to stop a ship from flying away. The first time we get to see her use lightning accidentally, I thought that was cool. She's got the dark side in her. We've always known, and now we can see it. So I do like learning a little bit more about Rey's backstory. I thought giving her a nobody backstory in The Last Jedi was kind of lazy. And it's hard for me to call Rian Johnson lazy because I love him. Knives Out, one of the best movies of the year. Brick, one of my favorite movies of all time. Brothers Bloom. Mwah. So I didn't understand that choice. And so I enjoyed getting to see Rey's parents and, the whole backstory there. We get finally a complete backstory on her. It's cool to see more backstory on Poe. He was a spice runner. Yeah, I knew he always had a little bit of bad boy in him. So that was cool. His girlfriend, ancillary character, cool Daft Punk helmet. Didn't really need any of her. She just gives up her most prized possession for them to get into the Star Destroyer. Oh, come on, I don't buy that for a second. But Babu Frick was super fucking cool. One of my favorite characters of all time. If I was a tiny drunken space alien, I would be Babu Frick. Cheers. And of course, with Babu Frick comes along some great comedic moments from C-3PO. I feel like he kind of maybe got the short end of the stick in The Last Jedi as well. Kind of even in The Force Awakens, honestly. And in this, I think he gets one of the best comedic lines of all time, which is after his memory is wiped and someone says, "Who's this Babu Frick?" He goes, this is my oldest friend. He's only known him for an hour. Hilarious. Now, look, I've talked about all the things I like about it. The lightsaber fights, amazing. All the stuff with Leia, amazing. All the stuff with Kylo Ren, amazing. Their relationship, great. I love it. The adventures, cool. Now, what I didn't like about it, the ending, man. I think just like The Last Jedi, and this is where I don't put myself in The Last Jedi camp of haters or lovers. I like a lot of The Last Jedi, and it loses me in the end. I don't like what they do with Luke. I don't like the shoulder brush and the fucking... Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. But just like in this movie, they really had me for like 90% of the movie, even most of the way through the third act. The Emperor being alive. I'm cool with that. He cloned Snoke, made Snoke, was in Kylo's head the whole time. I'm here for that. He's like a dead corpse, and his Force ghost is inhabiting that shit. He's on some kind of like GLaDOS from Portal machine. I'm here for that. He's been the architect of all 9 movies. I'm even here for that. Even though we don't really... They kind of spoon feed it to us, but that's fine. If you remember from the original trilogy, the Emperor just kind of shows up in the end. We didn't ever know who he was. So him just showing up here, fine. I even buy that. You know what I don't buy? I don't buy how easily he's defeated. All right, look, I understand this connection between Ben Solo and Rey is so powerful that it can rival the Emperor. I buy that as well. But this turning point for Kylo so easily, let's talk about that real quick. Seeing Harrison Ford literally surprised me. Not much in this movie was surprising. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. I probably saw that coming, or, oh, wow. Not genuine surprise, though. Like, oh, it's cool that they decided to do that out of all the options they had. When I heard Hey Kid, I thought it was either Anakin Skywalker or Luke. And then it was Harrison Ford. And I was like, wow, they dug deep into their wallets on this one. I can guarantee you that cameo was supposed to be for Carrie Fisher, but they didn't have her, and they didn't have the footage of her saying what they needed her to say. And so what I do like about it is that it's the memory that he's having of the moment where he kills his father on the bridge, except it goes the other direction of what if he didn't do it. So it's cool. It's like the exact same conversation, except he chooses not to be a fucking little shit, and he throws his lightsaber into the fucking ocean. Cool. I dig it. His dad is able to convince him this time. I would have much rather have seen... Luke would have been cool. I would have much rather have seen Anakin been like, dude, I fucked up. You're fucking up too. Don't do what I did. And then I think that would have been way more powerful. Anywho, he becomes Ben Solo, gets to the other planet really fast. We see the Knights of Ren. He kills them too easily, and they get the worst treatment in all of Star Wars, I think. They were hyped up. They were so cool in that Force Awakens trailer. Didn't get them in The Last Jedi. We saw them here for... Literally all they do is follow their master around and get their asses kicked. And then the Ben Solo and Rey fight. They both have blue lightsabers. We find out it's Leia's lightsaber. Fucking badass. That's one of my favorite moments, actually, is when you get to see Luke and Leia training together. Ooh, beautiful. So cool. Love the extended universe stuff. And then their powerful bond lets the Emperor suck their Force juices and become full Emperor again. And then, they're surrounded by Sith ghosts or whatever the fuck. And then he shoots lightning out into the whole fucking sky and takes out like half the fleet. But then Rey just defeats him by like blocking it with one lightsaber. And he's like, that's not going to be enough. And she's like, well, I've got 2 lightsabers. And he's like, no. I thought that was bad. Okay. Out of all the things I loved about this movie and thought were good and exciting and very Star Wars, this shit was fucking weak. Come on. The Emperor was defeated by lightning how many times in his life? Like, fucking... He can't just turn it off. Sam Jackson does the same thing to him, and he's like, oh no, the on button's stuck. Again? Like, the Emperor deserves to fucking die if this is how he just keeps doing it. So that was one of the weakest endings. To me, it kind of felt like a video game boss. Like, oh, not the cheat code, but the pattern. You can defeat him real easily. It's like, fuck, man, come on, make it more exciting. Like, give the Emperor a fucking lightsaber or something. Oh, okay. And I guess the last thing I really didn't like about it was every Star Destroyer has a fucking Death Star again. How How does Kathleen Kennedy not just draw the line and be like, look, dude, no more Death Stars? Like, isn't hundreds of Star Destroyers enough of a threat without them having a Death Star on them? It's pretty fucking terrifying regardless. And then the whole only one of them has a transfer beacon. Like, man, the Emperor really fucking skimped on this one. It's like, you could probably cut back on half those Star Destroyers and then give them all their own little homing beacons, and you'd still be a pretty admirable force. The Emperor's like 0 for 3 on winning the galaxy. Sucker. Yes, we'll talk about the kiss. So Reylo happens, and I don't think it was earned. I don't. I'm sorry. I know Reylo fans are going to downvote this video. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I thought their relationship was beautiful. I loved the forced Skyping and the tension between them, and yeah, we all wanted them to fuck. But I don't think we earned it. I think the fact that he dies right after is weak. And I know trying to justify him murdering hundreds of thousands of people and letting him live is like, oof, that's going to be a tough one. So of course you're just going to kill him. But then just let him die in her arms, like unfulfilled, and like that's a better story than like, ooh, she got what or they got what they wanted, but then he dies, and great. Now we're all just horny for nothing. I did like that it was kind of like Leia using all her Force energy to like give him that last final push, and then they both die at the same time. Seeing Chewie break down, adorable moment. It's sad to say that, but really heartfelt moment. And you know, the ending, as ham-fisted and as cheesy as it was, I'm cool with it, you know? She buries the lightsabers on Tatooine where they belong, Luke's home, and instead of, like, telling that woman, oh, I'm a Palpatine, and then, you know, they burn her at the stake because they think she's a fucking witch, she chooses, like, Skywalker. I guess she could have said, like, Rey Solo, you know, like, Rey nobody, but of course she's going to choose Skywalker. It's, you know, the most good guy name in the galaxy, so I'm fine with it. It was cheesy, yeah, for sure, but I don't think it's a cardinal sin of the movie. I would honestly give this movie like an 8, like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. It worked for me, and I felt fan serviced. I was again, my initial reaction was happiness, and I was like, man, all these reviews, was I wrong? I went and saw it again, and I was like, no, I love it. This feels like Star Wars to me, and I'm really excited to continue to watch it and to continue to get more Star Wars. I understand that most of my videos have been Star Wars over the past month, but with this over and the Mandalorian season finale this week, we're going to get back to our regularly scheduled programming of other nerd shit, I promise. Stick with me through this final stretch of Star Wars, and there are other things on the horizon. Let me know what you thought about Rise of Skywalker. If you hated it, that's okay. Tell me why. We'll have a discussion. If you loved it, let's bond over that too. Please follow me all over the internet at I'm the LA Nerd. Like and subscribe on the channel, all of the videos, and I'll see you next time. Later, nerds.